Hi everyone, it's Marco Brown. I wanted to talk about a proposed legislative change that deals with the division of retirement assets and then the payment of alimony. This is SB 18 being run by Lyle Hillyard. It's already passed the Senate. It's very, very likely to pass the Utah House as far as I can tell, and then to be signed into law. What this does is to try to correct an anomaly in Utah law regarding the payment of alimony after somebody retires. So we can think about it like this. When people get divorced, they split the retirement assets, and that almost always happens 50-50 for the period of the marriage. So if you were married for 20 years and you worked a job for 20 years, your spouse is going to get 50% of your pension or your 401k. Black letter law, really, really easy stuff, almost never changed. It's just kind of the way it is. So we go through, and we can think of that as one bucket. That's the retirement asset bucket, and we deal with that bucket kind of independent of all the other buckets when we get people divorced. So then we go from that bucket, and then we go over to the alimony bucket, and alimony is really based on income. It's not based on assets because assets are in a different bucket, right? So we figure out alimony based on the party's income. So we've already divided the retirement bucket, and then we go over here to the alimony and we figure out the alimony. Well, so we have people with both of those things in their divorce decrees, and then say 15 years later or 20 years later, somebody wants to retire. The person who's paying alimony, in fact, wants to retire. Well, there's some case law in Utah that says that's not a reason to change anything in the divorce decree. So if it's been 20 years and you were supposed to pay alimony for 30 years, then some of these cases were coming back and saying, no, you can't change the alimony. You can't cease paying alimony just because you retired, because you could foresee that you would retire. So no, you don't get to do that. You still have to pay alimony on top of the retirement that your ex-spouse already has. Now, this is a crazy, crazy anomaly because it just doesn't make any sense, right? When the income goes away, that bucket should be dry, and we should just deal with the retirement that is there. But what the courts were saying is because this is foreseeable, like everybody knows they're going to retire, because this is foreseeable, you can't ever change the alimony. So you're just stuck with half your retirement plus paying a whole bunch on the alimony of the income bucket, even though you don't have any income. So that's what this is proposed change is supposed to address. And let me read it to you. I think it does a pretty good job at actually doing this. Let me read it. Regardless of whether a party's retirement is foreseeable, the party's retirement is a substantial material change in circumstance that is subject to a petition to modify alimony, unless the divorce decree expressly states otherwise. So what it's saying here is anytime anybody retires, yes, that's foreseeable, everybody retires, but we're going to consider that an exception to the normal rule that a substantial material change has to be unforeseeable at the time of the divorce. So essentially, if you retire, then you get to come back to the court and say, hey, I'm retiring, I no longer have any income, I need to do away with my alimony. That's really what it's doing here, and I think it's a really good fix because we've had some crazy, crazy cases that have really put people behind the eight ball. They just absolutely cannot afford to pay alimony going on after they retire to normal age of 65 or 70 or even later than that. I've seen people cashing out retirement assets in order to pay the alimony, which puts them even further behind. So they've already divided the retirement asset bucket, but they're cashing it out so they can then go pay on the income side where they don't have any income. So it's this weird anomaly in the law based on one word, unforeseeable. And I just don't think they really thought through that rule when they made it. And this is a fix to that. And I think it's a pretty good fix. And I think it will be passed. And I think this will clear a lot of stuff up for us in divorce going forward. Now, if you need help with your divorce or if you need help terminating your alimony because you're going to retire, give us a call. It's 801-685-9999 or visit us on the web at www.utdivorceattorney.com. Thanks, everyone.